there is a dream that haunts the human species. It is a dream of fire and steel, of leaving the cradle, of sailing into the black ocean above our heads. We look at the stars and we see destinations. We see a future where humanity is not bound to a single fragile rock, but spread across the galaxy, immortal and invincible. We tell ourselves stories of warp drives and wormholes, of brave colonists on new Earths, of a destiny that waits for us in the dark. But there is a silence in the universe that we refuse to hear. Deep down, we treat the Earth as a temporary home. We pollute, we consume, and we destroy, comforted by a single dangerous lie: that when we are finished here, we can simply leave. We believe that if the oceans rise and the forests burn, we will build great arcs and sail toward Alpha Centauri. We believe that survival is just a matter of engineering. But what if the universe is not a frontier? What if it is a prison? We have spent the last century reaching upward. We have walked on the moon. We have sent robotic eyes to the edge of the sun's influence. We feel powerful, but we have misunderstood the scale of our cage. The reality of interstellar space is not like the movies. It is colder, darker, and more hostile than anything our ancestors ever imagined. We are standing on the shore of an ocean we were never meant to cross, and the waves are not waiting to carry us to a new world. They are waiting to crush us against the rocks of physics itself. The question isn't whether we have the technology to leave. The question is whether biology itself is allowed to leave. Let us strip away the science fiction and look at the cold mathematics of survival. Imagine the Earth is dying. The climate has collapsed. The air is thick with poison, and we must evacuate. We look to the stars for a planet B. We imagine a great migration, a fleet of ships carrying humanity to salvation. But numbers do not care about our hope. Right now, the human population grows by roughly 80 million people every single year. 80 million. To simply keep the population of Earth stable, not to reduce it, but just to keep it from growing, we would need to launch 80 million people into space every year. That is 200,000 people every single day. Even if we built a spacecraft the size of a city, launching one every hour, we would not even make a dent. The logistics are an impossibility. There is no fleet coming. There is no escape hatch for 8 billion souls. If we ruin this planet, the vast majority of us will stay here and face the consequences. A colony on Mars or a ship to Proxima Centauri might save a few thousand carefully chosen elites or a genetic bank of embryos, but it will not save us. The idea of space as a release valve for a crowded, dying Earth is a myth. It is a fairy tale we tell ourselves to avoid the hard work of fixing the ground beneath our feet. The door to the stars is not locked, but it is too narrow for the human race to squeeze through. And even if we could leave, where would we go? We look at the night sky and see a sea of stars. We know there are Earth-like planets out there, circling distant suns. We think that because we can see them, we can reach them. But the human mind is incapable of understanding the void. The nearest star system, Alpha Centauri, is 4 light years away. It sounds small. 4 is a small number. But let's translate that into human terms. If you boarded the fastest spacecraft humanity has ever built, a probe screaming through the dark at tens of thousands of miles per hour, it would still take you 70,000 years to arrive. 70,000 years. Civilizations rise and fall in the blink of an eye compared to that journey. If we launched a ship today, the people who arrived would not be us. They would be the descendants of the descendants of the descendants, born and bred inside a metal shell, traveling through nothingness. This brings us to the concept of the generation ship, a vessel that is a world unto itself. But think of the horror of that existence. The first generation consists of volunteers, dreamers who chose to leave. But the second generation, the 10th, the 50th, they are prisoners, born into a mission they did not choose, traveling to a world they will never see, tasked with keeping a machine alive in the silence. They would be creatures of the hull, never knowing wind or rain, or the warmth of a real sun. Would they even be human anymore? Or would they be something else? A tribe of the void? Evolving in the dark, forgetting the earth that sent them. And that assumes they survived the journey, because the universe has one more trap waiting for them. A trap built into the very fabric of space and time. To cross the abyss in a single human lifetime, we need speed. We need to go fast. We need to approach the speed of light. But nature has a speed limit, and it is strictly enforced. As a ship accelerates toward the speed of light, it faces a deadly contradiction. Space is not empty. It is filled with dust, gas, and stray atoms of hydrogen. When you are moving slowly, these atoms are harmless. They drift off the hull like mist. But at relativistic speeds, at 90% of the speed of light, those tiny atoms transform. Relative to the ship, they become projectiles. They strike the hull with the force of a nuclear bomb. A single grain of sand colliding with a ship moving at near light speed would release enough energy to vaporize the vessel. Space becomes a firing squad. To survive, we would need shields of impossible thickness or magnetic fields that consume more energy than a star. The faster we go, the more the universe pushes back. The medium of space itself becomes a wall of radiation, cooking the crew alive, stripping away their DNA, turning the ship into a glowing tomb. Some physicists believe this is the great filter. The reason we have never met aliens is not because they don't exist. It is because physics forbids them from traveling. The energy required to push a ship through the interstellar medium safely is so vast that it might be impossible for any civilization to achieve. We are trapped by the very speed we need to escape. If we go slow, we die of old age before we arrive. If we go fast, we are destroyed by the dust of the cosmos. And yet, there is a third option: a nightmare of time. Let us assume for a moment that we solve the energy problem. Let us assume we build a ship that can travel at 99% of the speed of light and survive the impact of interstellar dust. We launch our brave astronauts to a star 50 light years away. Einstein's relativity tells us that as they speed up, time for them slows down. For the crew on board, the journey might only take a few years. They will eat, sleep, and work, aging only slightly. They will reach the new planet, young and ready to explore. It sounds perfect. It sounds like a solution. But look back at Earth. While a few years pass on the ship, a century passes back home. By the time they arrive, everyone they ever knew is dead. The governments that funded the mission have crumbled. The language has changed. The culture that built the ship is gone. This is the time dilation trap. Interstellar travel destroys the connection between the traveler and the home. You cannot build a galactic empire if a message takes 50 years to deliver. You cannot have trade routes if the merchant returns to a world 1,000 years older than the one he left. Every ship that leaves is a time capsule, severed from history. The crew of that ship has not just left Earth, they have left their era. They are ghosts, sailing into the future, unable to ever return to the time they call home. If they turn around and come back, they will find an Earth aged by centuries, unrecognizable. This is why there will be no Star Trek future. There will be no Federation of Planets, because the laws of physics ensure that every solar system is an isolated island. We can shout across the void with radio waves, but we can never truly touch hands. The distance is too great. The time is too deep. So, what is the conclusion? Is this a story of despair? Perhaps. But perhaps it is a story of maturity. For thousands of years, we have looked up and begged the gods to take us away. We have treated our planet like a waiting room, a temporary stop before the main event. We have dreamed of a destiny in the stars because we are afraid of the responsibility of the Earth. But the silence of the galaxy is telling us something important. It is telling us to look down. We are creatures of biology, evolved for the gravity, the air, and the sunlight of this specific rock. We are not made for the void. The only thing that might one day cross the gulf between stars is not a human, but a machine. A robot, cold and immortal, carrying the memory of a species that stayed behind. Or perhaps a transhuman, something engineered, something no longer us. But for you, and for me, and for our children, the solar system is the limit. There is no planet B. There's no warp drive coming to save us from ourselves. We are here, and we are staying here. The realization is terrifying, but it is also clarifying. If we cannot leave, then we must survive. If this is the only home we will ever have, then we must stop burning it. The stars are beautiful, but they are not ours. They are the wallpaper of our prison, or the decoration of our home. The choice of how we see it is the only thing we actually control.